I don't know about you, but I just love it when the writers sometimes stray from the action-packed side of the superheroes and explore their private romantic stories as well. In the vast, often bizarre tapestry of Marvel Comics history, few tales are as strangely memorable as the romantic entanglements between the Incredible Hulk and the extra-dimensional sorceress, Umar. It's a saga that spans different creative eras, shifting wildly in tone from slapstick comedy to apocalyptic drama. It begins with a premise that seems impossible given the Hulk's legendary reputation for limitlessness, as the Jade Giant, the strongest one there is, meets an immovable object in the bedroom and fails to measure up. Yes, this is the one time that even the mighty Hulk could not satisfy his woman, and in this video, I'll explore the complete story of Umar the Unrelenting and the Hulk, a tale of cosmic boredom, gamma-irradiated inadequacy, and eventually an earth-shattering redemption. To understand why a being of immense power would even bother consorting with a mortal mutate like the Hulk, one must first understand who Umar really is. Umar is not a god in the traditional mythological sense, though her power levels often dwarf those of Asgardians or Olympians. She is a Faltine, a being of pure magical energy from an extra-dimensional realm. More notoriously, she's the twin sister of the dread Dormammu, the perennial arch-nemesis of Doctor Strange. Like her brother, Umar is ancient, incredibly powerful, and utterly ruthless. However, where Dormammu is defined by a singular, brooding desire to conquer universes, Umar is defined by hedonism and a colossal, crushing sense of boredom. She has lived for eons, seen dimensions rise and fall, and wielded unimaginable magic. As a result, she possesses an insatiable appetite for new sensations, seeking stimulation through conquest, cruelty, and carnal pleasures across the multiverse. She's often portrayed as the sometimes ruler of the Dark Dimension, a realm of chaotic magic. Yet, ruling bores her almost as much as being subservient to her brother. She is a creature of impulse, drawn to raw power and novelty like a moth to a flame. In the early 2000s, the Marvel Universe was a chaotic place. The Defenders, a non-team usually consisting of heavy hitters like Doctor Strange, Namor, Silver Surfer, and the Hulk, were reunited in a 2005 miniseries characterized by the unique comedic stylings of writers Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis, with expressive art by Kevin Maguire. This era was defined by bickering, absurdity, and a deliberately unheroic take on superhero dynamics. In Defenders Volume 3, the team found themselves entangled in plots involving Dormammu and Umar. Umar, currently estranged from her brother and ruling a pocket of the Dark Dimension, observed the Earth heroes. While she viewed most of them with contempt, her eyes landed on the Hulk. At this point in time, the Hulk was in his classic savage persona, with his childlike intellect, boundless rage, and near-infinite physical strength. To Umar, the Hulk represented something refreshingly primal. He was a reservoir of raw, untapped physical dominance. In her eternal quest to stave off ennui, she decided she wanted to experience that power firsthand, in the most intimate way possible. I mean, is it really that difficult to believe that one of the most powerful cosmic women in the universe could want the Hulk between the sheets? The infamous encounter took place in the third issue of Defenders Volume 3. The setup was swift, where Umar magically abducted the Hulk, pulling him from the battlefield into her extra-dimensional boudoir. Her intent was clear, and she intended to make the Green Goliath her personal consort and sex slave. Given the Hulk's reputation, we all know that his stamina increases with his anger, and his physical faculties are virtually limitless. The readers might have expected a titanic clash. Instead, the comic delivered a punchline that echoed through Marvel history. The encounter took place off-panel, but the immediate aftermath told the whole story. Minutes later, Umar reappeared, adjusting her clothing and looking utterly disgusted. She bellowed her frustration to the cosmos. 6 minutes, she screamed. All that build-up, all that rampant testosterone, and the brute lasted a pathetic 6 minutes. The mighty Hulk, capable of shattering worlds with his fists, had been bested by the sheer demands of a faulty sorceress. But the failure was more psychological than it was physical. The experience had been so intense for the relatively simple-minded, savage Hulk that it completely overloaded his system. Hulk was found lying in Umar's bed, a goofy, blissed-out grin plastered across his face, utterly incapacitated by contentment. The rage that fuels him had him completely drained away. Moments later, unable to maintain his anger, he reverted to a very mellow, very drowsy Bruce Banner. Umar, insulted by the brevity of the encounter and bored once again, dismissively teleported Banner back to his teammates, complaining that the experience was, quote, hardly worth the effort. It was a humiliating defeat for the Hulk, played entirely for laughs in a series known for deconstructing its heroes. I know this isn't in line with the picture of Hulk that we have in mind, but I certainly didn't mind the amusing little moment. For 6 years, that joke stood as canon. Hulk could smash Thor, but he couldn't satisfy Umar. However, between 2005 and 2011, the character of the Hulk underwent a massive transformation. Following the Planet Hulk storyline, the Hulk was no longer just a savage brute. He had become a gladiator king, a brilliant strategist, and a focused warrior. His rage was no longer childlike temper tantrums, it was a righteous, burning fury. When he returned to Earth for World War Hulk, he was stronger than ever before. By 2011, in the pages of Incredible Hulks, written by Greg Pak, the Hulk's power levels had reached a critical, terrifying threshold. He was evolving into the World Breaker. In this state, he was constantly radiating apocalyptic levels of gamma energy. Merely taking a step could trigger earthquakes. Losing control for a second could crack the North American tectonic plate. He was a walking doomsday device, desperate for a way to expend this lethal excess energy before he killed everyone on Earth just by existing. The stage was set for a redemption arc in Incredible Hulk's number 633, during the Heart of the Monster storyline. The tone here was vastly different from the Defenders' comedy years earlier, and the stakes were life and death for the planet. Hulk's allies realized that he needed a release valve, something that could withstand the full, unbridled force of the Worldbreaker's energy without breaking. Enter Umar. Drawn once again by the scent of overwhelming power, Umar reappeared. This time, however, she wasn't looking at a savage child. She was looking at a reactor horrified by its own output. The Hulk, recognizing the danger he posed to Earth, agreed to depart with her to the Dark Dimension, a realm where physical laws were mere suggestions and his energy wouldn't harm innocents. This time, the dynamic was radically different. The Hulk was a desperate participant needing release. Furthermore, the massive amounts of gamma radiation pouring off him acted as a potent stimulant for an energy being like Umar. The resulting encounter was cataclysmic. Back on Earth, Hulk's allies, including the super genius Amadeus Cho, monitored the energy signatures coming from the Dark Dimension. They witnessed an upheaval. The comic depicted a massive, magical mushroom cloud rising over the landscape of the Dark Dimension, subtly shaped like a heart. Amadeus Cho noted the duration of the energy discharge, confirming that this time, the encounter lasted over 3 hours. The Worldbreaker's nearly infinite radiation was the key. It provided the sustained intensity that the Savage Hulk had lacked. When they returned, the change was palpable. The Hulk had expended enough energy to temporarily depower from his Worldbreaker state, saving the Earth from immediate destruction. Umar, for her part, was shown looking genuinely flushed, tussled, and for the first time in millennia, thoroughly satisfied. She wryly commented that the experience was much better and that Hulk finally got the hang of it. The romantic interlude between Hulk and Umar was practically a one-night stand, serving specific narrative purposes in both instances. First as comedy, second as a plot device to save the world. After her satisfaction in the Dark Dimension, Umar didn't become a lingering love interest for the Hulk. Her nature is too chaotic for domesticity. Having had her curiosity sated and her boredom temporarily relieved, she moved on to other cosmic schemes. Her subsequent history remains tied to the magical corners of the Marvel Universe. She's continued her eternal, dysfunctional power struggles with her brother Dormammu over control of the Dark Dimension. More recently, her story has revolved around her daughter Clea, Doctor Strange's estranged wife. In modern Doctor Strange continuity, Clea has risen to become the Sorcerer Supreme of the Dark Dimension, and, for a time, Earth as well. Umar's role had shifted from primary antagonist to a troublesome, powerful mother figure, sometimes allying with Clea against worse threats, and sometimes undermining her. Umar remains a formidable cosmic entity, eternally seeking the next great thrill, but her two encounters with the Hulk remain legendary footnotes in her long existence. The time she broke the unbreakable man with pleasure, and the time his world-breaking power was the only thing in the universe that could finally scratch her itch. I've always been a huge fan of such quirky stories, and this amusing, intimate encounter of the Hulk has surely been a fun narrative for the comic book lover. I don't think it made us take the Hulk less seriously, but it did make me wonder that if the Hulk couldn't, then who could? Let me know in the comments below what you think of this unique storyline, and also share your thoughts on the wacky Marvel Comics timeline and your favorite moments from there. See you next time. Bye.